People engaged, it's time for dueling decades. The Matrix and Blade versus Bloodsport and Renegade. Strap on that cap, bust out the power glove. Come fight for what you love.
Dueling decades.
Poop culture, popping pins, dropping hand grenades. Van Halen locked in Mortal Kombat with David Gray. Banner Ballet and Sick, Iron Maiden, GNR. Come fight for what you love.
Dueling decades.
All right, Rick Mancrush, going into the final round of movies, we have control of the board. Do you want to start this one off?
January 21st, 1982. We get a movie out of Hong Kong. We don't get that much often on here. But it's a Hong Kong movie that manages to get a 78% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes and catapults Shaolin movies into the Chinese mainstream. Matter of fact, this is the first Hong Kong Kung Fu movie to ever be shot in mainland China. It's martial arts legend Jet Li in his debut role. This cult classic that I'm speaking about is the Shaolin Temple. Well, if you dig martial arts movies, this is a badass movie. And you got to figure this movie was released in 82. They started shooting this one in 79. So there aren't many effects. The fight scenes are as authentic as you would imagine. All right. Jet Li does not disappoint in this movie. Although he's young, he's badass. He's fast. When they started filming this movie, he was like 16 years old. But he's no less the martial artist that he is now. It's insane. And I'm no expert on Chinese culture, but this movie supposedly grossed 10 million, what is it, Yenminbi? Or they just call it RMB at the time. And just to put that in perspective, a ticket cost 0.1 RMB. All right, so it's like
10 million Beyonce albums. Is that what it is? Like,
I don't know. I don't know how their currency works, but supposedly, as legend has it, over 50 million Chinese folks saw this during its theatrical run in China. So this was a massive movie for over there, and of course, it has cult status over here. It's an amazing martial arts movie. The Shaolin Temple.
Yeah, over there it was like their Star Wars. You know, it was a huge movie that kind of revolutionized the whole industry in China.
And you can watch it for free. It's on YouTube if you want to look it up.
All right, and we'll head over to my movie, and that's another movie you can watch for free. This one's on Amazon Prime, and it's a movie that was previously banned in the UK as part of the infamous video nasty list during the 1980s. Beginning in theaters January 1982, select theaters across the country began showing the cinematic cult classic Evil Speak, starring Clint Howard as the outcast cadet named Stanley Cooper Smith, who frequently gets tormented by his mates and advisors of the military academy upon finding a book, of course, of black masses that belong to the medieval Father Esteban. He uses his 1982 computer to cast spells, conjure Satan, demon hell pigs, just to get revenge on all of his bullies. So 1982's Clint Howard starring one of his first, if not his very first leading role. Richard Mall has a rare cameo in the movie. This, of course, coming a few years before Night Court. He actually plays Father Esteban in the beginning of the film. And if you're still not sold on the greatness of Evil Speak, Anton LaVey himself, the founder and high priest of the Church of Satan, was said to be a great fan of this film and considered it to be, well, very satanic.
I wish Anton LaVey had just gone on to do movie reviews for the rest of his career.
I don't like
give
this one. Not satanic.
I give this one 3 Satans out of 4.
Oh, fuck. All right, what do you guys have for movies? I'm curious now.
Well, we got some great stuff.
Oh, some absolute bangers in the cinema we have.
Which is, I believe, what Roger Ebert used to say.
You guys say cool as ice.
A couple of absolute bangers in the cinema this week.
Well, that's actually what Anton LaVey said about that movie. It was,
right?
you know, very satanic and generally banging.
2 Satans. Yeah.
All right, I guess I'll go first. This film, released on January 11th, 1991, made Jean-Claude Van Damme a street fighter long before he took up the role as Colonel Guile in 1994. Lionheart, the story of an ex-French soldier who becomes a street fighter to make money for his brother's family, kicked its way into theaters on a training budget of less than $3 million and went on to gross $24 million at the U.S. box office. But it's the memories and your little brother's minor concussion that makes this film a videotape legend.
Good pick.
Got one that's not too far off from just cinematic greatness, and that is January 18th, 1991's White Fang, starring Ethan Hawke. Who
Wow.
also served as the film's narrator, based on the novel by Jack London, unfortunately not the one by John Grisham. It tells the story of a young Klondike gold prospector and his adventures with his wolf dog, who was portrayed by Academy Award winner Jed, as they searched to find gold in the 19th century. It also starred a grizzly bear. Received fairly well by critics. Currently sits at a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes. 14 million budget, 34 plus million in the U.S. gross. Became the fourth highest earning film in France, actually, in 91. Released in June 91 on VHS and a little something we like to call Laserdisc. A sequel, White Fang 2 Myth of the White Wolf, was released in 1994 and probably wasn't quite as good. White Fang, January 18th, 1991.
Right. Wow. I think I missed that one.
I thought Bo was going to start going into. Remember when I had Air Bud some months ago? And I had to really sell all that in the sequels. I thought you were going that route.
God, if they made about 6 or 7 White Fang sequels, we'd really be cooking with gas. I want to be in the bag.
All right, John Croft.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I had said that 1982 is a great year for movies, and it is a great year for movies. But it's a great year for movies. But January itself, not a huge year. Not a huge month. Sorry, for movies. As you look down, normally this is where I would say, but hang on, guys, you could have said this, this, and this. But really, not very little of any note whatsoever. January 1st, Madman, the infamous slasher film, came out, which is the story of the killer of Madman Mars. But it's really just sort of a Friday the 13th and kind of sleepaway camp kind of ripoff. You've got the wonderful Roger Corman produced Battle Truck, which is a great post-World War III futuristic tale of collapsed governments and bankrupt countries, as well as an enormous truck. You've also got Jackie Chan's Dragon Strike or Dragon Lord. That was another martial arts movie that came out that year. But really, honestly, like nothing particularly funny and nothing particularly famous came out that period of time. Well, the New York Ripper as well. Apparently, January 1st, 1982 was the day to release slasher films, because the New York Ripper, which if people are not aware of, it is the Lucio Fulci movie in which the killer quacks like Donald Duck. And I'm not joking.
Yep, the whole time.
So that and Madman came out on January 1st. So I would have loved that. I would have gone to the cinema on New Year's Day and been like, great, I'll do a double feature of mad slasher films. But also what was interesting about your picks is first of all, Shaolin Temple, which does come out in 82, but is not, if you look up like January of 1982 on any of these lists or whatever, it's not one that comes up. It's one that you really have to dig for. So I applaud you for that. Likewise, Evil Speak, kind of a technicality, was actually made at the end of the 70s, got its main release in 1981, but it is right, it did get its first US screening in January of 1982, so it does count. It had a limited release in California before going nationwide in February of 1982. And I'm a particular fan of this movie. I've actually interviewed Clint Howard. I interviewed Clint Howard at Christmas time. One of my Christmas episodes was a full hour and a half long episode with Clint Howard. And he is a fascinating and completely insane human being, which you would expect, because since Age of 2, he has been raised in Hollywood. He has literally never had the normal existence like most actors have. You know what I mean? They have a few jobs.
High school or something. Yeah.
Yeah. They went to high school. They bagged groceries. They maybe did a waiting job, whatever it is. He never did any of that. He literally like shot out the womb straight onto the set of his brother's show.
Yeah, I was just gonna. Doesn't he have a brother in show business too?
Yeah. but right into his brother Ron Howard was on some show when he was like 2 years old, and he got to play
The Andy Griffith show.
Andy Griffith
show. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. But Lionheart, White Fang, I have to say, 1991, certainly in January, a much better month for movies. But very surprised, guys, that you did not come up with probably the biggest hit of that month, Sleeping with the Enemy, which is a very early Julia Roberts film. Certainly one of the ones that kind of launched her to stardom, and one that is sort of still talked about today. Like it's one of those 90s thrillers that has kind of stuck around a bit. So, but nice mention of White Fang. Who doesn't like Ethan Hawke in the snowy wilderness with a dog? You could have gone for The Guyver. FBI agent Max Reed witnesses Dr. Tetsu Segawa, a researcher for the mysterious Kronos Corporation, being murdered. And then Dr. Segawa had stolen an alien device known as the Guyver from Kronos. It goes on much in that vein. You've also got
actually a live-action remake of an anime.
It is. Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
it's
Indeed.
horrible.
Yeah. No, totally. You've got Willie Nelson in Another Pair of Aces, 3 of a Kind, comes out on January 1st, 1991. You've got Bare Essentials, which is exactly what you'd expect. A couple leaves for vacation on a tropical island and finds happiness and love, just not with each other.
So it's not just the name of a strip club in Atlantic City?
No, it's not. No. Class, although what an excellent strip club. Class of Newcomb High Part 2, Subhumanoid Meltdown. That's another classic from 1991. But yeah, really, January, a disappointing month in both years, I have to say, overall. I'm going to end up giving it to 1982 simply because of the Jet Li debut of Shaolin Temple, and also because of Clint Howard and Evil Speed. So I'm really just going to give it to 1982 because both movies were better.
Oh,
I thought it was going to go the other way. I was like, he's building up to go to the 90s.
all right. Well, in a complete shocker, I thought the 90s team was going to pull this one out, but they lose this one, and the Mamalukes win again. So you guys got to change your name again next week. So, all right, fellow poopers, we're going to leave this one here. If you've missed any of our episodes, you can always go over on CastBox or on iTunes or on poopculture.com and check out all of our past episodes. Also on duelingdecades.com. Please check out and follow along all the action on our Facebook page, facebook.com/duelingdecades. So until next time, fellow poopers, we're going to bid you a peace, love, light, and a joy. Have a grateful week, everyone.